What's going on YouTube? It's Vaughn here, and today I'm ranking some rappers' discographies. Before the video starts, make sure you like and subscribe so you can get more content from me. I picked out 5 rappers. We got Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Kanye West, Travis Scott, and J. Cole. We're gonna start with Drake. We start off with If You're Reading This Is Too Late, which is a fire Drake project. Has great songs like Energy, like Legend, like Star 67, even though that's probably the worst, but it's still a fine song. I'm gonna probably put this in the A tier. It's like a low 9, not his best, but definitely in his like top 5. Next we have Thank Me Later. This has some bangers like Fireworks, Karaoke, but it's not quite If You're Reading This Is Too Late. I'm gonna probably put it in the B tier. It's like a high 7, low 8. Next we have Scorpion. Overhated, but it still has like Ratchet Happy Birthday, probably Drake's worst song. So I'm gonna put it in the C. It's like a low 7, high 6. Next we got What a Time to Be Alive, the Future collab. People love this album. It's not my favorite. It's like a low 7, but it's better than Scorpion, so I'm gonna put it C right in front of it. Next we have So Far Gone, Drake's first album. For a first album, it's pretty good, but it's not gonna be his best, but it's definitely not his worst. I'm gonna put it in the B tier right behind the Thank Me Later. Next we have More Life, another quality Drake project. Is it better than If You're Reading It's Too Late? It's debatable. They're real close. I'm gonna say it is. Well, this is like a 9.1. Oh, this is a 9.2. Next we got Views, one of the more hated Drake albums, but it's got bangers. It's got banger after banger after banger. Keep the Family Close, banger. It's better than these bottom 4, but it's not better than these top 2. It's like a 9 to like a really high 8, but it's still an A tier. Next we got Nothing Was the Same. In my opinion, Drake's second best album. It's close. It's like a 9.5. It's debatably perfect, but I'm gonna put it in the A tier. Speaking of perfect albums, we got Take Care, which is Drake's best album and a perfect 10. Love this album. So many bangers. Flows so good. Next, we got Care Package, an underrated album. It's got some of Drake's best tracks, like Paris Morton music, but it's not quite in the A tier range for me, but it is a step above these first 2, so I'm gonna put it top of B. Dark Lane demo tapes, it's not my favorite. If I'm being honest, I probably like all of the B tier albums more, but it's not quite C, so I'm gonna stick it at the end of B. Next, we got COB, in my opinion, Drake's second worst album, but it's still not that bad. People overreact. It's the bottom of C tier, maybe D at the max, but there's still hitters in there like TSU. So I'm gonna put it in C. Speaking of Drake's worst album, we got Honestly Nevermind. Not my genre, not my type of thing. So I'm not gonna play it. It's not F tier, because it's still listenable, but it's D. We got Her Loss, one of my favorite first listens from Drake. I'm gonna put it in A tier in front of Views, but not quite in front of the other 2. Lastly, we got For All the Dogs, the one that came out last year. When I first listened to it, I liked it much more than it aged, but it still got good tracks, so I'm gonna put it behind Care Package. These are my Drake albums. We got Take Care at 1, Nothing Was the Same at 2, More Life at 3, If You're Reading This Is Too Late at 4, Her Loss at 5, Views at 6, Care Package at 7, For All the Dogs at 8, Thank Me Later at 9, So Far Gone at 10, Dark Lane demo tapes at 11, What a Time to Be Alive at 12, Scorpion at 13, CLB at 14, and lastly, Honestly Nevermind at 15. Next, we have a much smaller discography, but a more consistent discography with Kendrick Lamar. He only has 8 albums compared to 15 from Drake. We're starting off with Section 80, an underrated project, not anywhere close to Kendrick's best, but still like a mid to low 8, so I'm gonna put it in the B tier. Next, we got 8-track Untitled Unmastered. There's highs and lows on this. The highs are real good, but there's some mid song, so I'm gonna put it behind Section 80, but still in the B tier. Next, we have Kendrick Lamar's most recent album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. A step down from his top tier projects, but it's still better than these 2. It's like a high 8 with songs like N95 and Silent Hill on it. It's got to be better than Section 80 and Untitled Unmastered, so I'm gonna put it top of B. Next, we have Good Kid, Mad City. Some people's favorite Kendrick Lamar album. not mine, but still a high A. Almost perfect, but not quite there. Talking about perfect, we have my favorite Kendrick Lamar album, Damn. Perfect 10, so many bangers, just real good. Another perfect album from Kendrick Lamar here, we have To Pimp a Butterfly. Not quite better than Damn, but right behind it in the perfect tier. Next, we have Overly Dedicated. Probably my least favorite Kendrick album. It's like a low to mid 7, so I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Last, we got an album that's not even really his album, but had to count it anyways, with the Black Panther soundtrack. It's better than Overly Dedicated, but I'm still gonna have to put it in the C tier. So this is my Kendrick Lamar discography ranking. We have Damn at 1, To Pimp a Butterfly at 2, Good Kid, Mad City at 3, Miss From Around the Big Steppers at 4, Section 80 at 5, Untitled and Master at 6, Black Panther soundtrack at 7, and Overly Dedicated at 8. The next rapper's discography we have is Travis Scott. I even included some albums that aren't technically his, like Huncho Jack, and a couple mixtapes like Owl Pharaoh and Days Before Rodeo. We'll start off with Astroworld, one of his bigger projects. It's like an A. It's got songs like Stargazing, Sicko Mode, but it's not his best. Next, we got Birds in the Trap, his 2016 album. There's some really good songs in here, but it's still not to the level of Astroworld. It's like a mid to low 8, so I'm gonna put it in the B tier. His most recent Spotify release, Days Before Rodeo, it's in the same level as Birds in the Trap. It's not quite to the top tier as Astro, Rodeo, and maybe Utopia, but it's still like a 8. So we're gonna put it behind Birds in the Trap in the B tier. Next, we have Jack Boys. In my opinion, it's kind of just there. There's nothing too special about it. I'm gonna have to put it in the C tier, but it's teetering C to D. Next, we got Huncho Jack, the Quavo and Travis Scott collab. It's kind of similar to Jack Boys. There's better songs on Huncho Jack, but it's not quite to the quality of Travis's solo album, so I'm also going to put it into C. Next, we have Owl Pharaoh, which, call me a casual, I've never heard it, so I had to give it its own category I've never heard. Now we got Rodeo, Travis Scott's best album, in a perfect 10, got it on vinyl, love everything about it. So many hits. Lastly, we have Travis's most recent album with the 2023 Utopia. And personally, it was my favorite Travis album for a little bit, but now it slides to second and the high A above Astroworld. So my Travis Scott ranking goes Rodeo at 1, Utopia at 2, Astroworld at 3, Birds in the Trap at 4, Days Before Rodeo at 5, Huncho Jack at 6, and then Jack Boys at 7. For the penultimate rapper discography, we got J. Cole. We're going to start off with Cole World, The Sideline Story. His first album, good hits. Highs are high, but the lows are pretty mid. It's like a high 7 to a low 8, so I'm going to put it in the B tier. Next, we got Born Sinner. Once again, has some good songs, but not quite top J. Cole. It's like a mid to high 8. It's like an 8.7, so I'm going to put it in B, but the gap between Born Sinner and Sideline Story it's like that. Next, we got 2014 Forest Hills Drive, and it's my opinion Cole's best album, and it's a perfect 10. There's so many good songs on it. It's a good listen, and anybody who hasn't heard it should hear it. Next, we got For Your Eyes Only, which is close to 2014 Forest Hills Drive, but in my opinion, not quite there. So it's gonna go in the A tier, but it's a high A. Next, we got KOD, which is probably his worst album. There's a lot of mid songs on it, but there's some good songs, so I'm gonna put it in the C. It's not quite D. Next, we have Revenge of the Dreamers 3, which has so many heaters like Under the Sun, like Wells Fargo, like Down Bad. So I'm gonna put it above both of these in the high 8, low 9 tier. It's almost there, but not quite. Next, we got The Off Season, one of my favorite J. Cole albums. It's hated on, but it doesn't deserve the hate. I'm gonna put it in the high A. Next, we got another Dreamville project with D-Day. Not quite as good as this one, but it's still better than A Sideline Story, so I'm gonna put it in between Born Sinner and A Sideline Story. Lastly, we have his most recent album, Might Delete Later, which he kind of did, and in my opinion, is his worst. I said KOD, but I think it's Might Delete Later. KOD is at least a 7. I think Might Delete Later is a 6.5. So my J. Cole ranking is 2014 Forest Hills Drive at 1, For Your Eyes Only at 2, The Off Season at 3, Revenge of the Dreamers at 4, Born Sinner at 5, D-Day at 6, The Sideline Story at 7, KOD at 8, and then Might Delete Later at 9. For the last discography, we have Kanye West. He has the biggest discography so far with 16. We're going to start off with Kids See Ghosts, which is the collab album with Kid Cudi. This album seems pretty split, where either you think it's a 10 or it's like a low 7, and I tend to fall in the low 7 range. So I'm going to put it bottom of B, top of C. Next, we have Jesus is King. Not quite as good as Kids See Ghosts, so I'm going to put it top of C. Next, we have Donda. I am not a huge fan of Donda, never have, probably never will be. And so I'm going to put it behind Jesus is King. Next, we have the 2024 album, Vultures 1. Not great. Simply put, not great. Nothing of Kanye 2024 has been good. It's not quite D tier. It's going to be bottom of C. A lot of C tier projects, but that's going to change with the College Dropout, which is a top 3 Kanye project for me. I'm going to put it at the top of A. It's debatable, perfect, but I'm going to put it top of A. Next, we have Late Registration, which is also in the A tier, but not quite as good as the College Dropout. Now we have my favorite Kanye album with Graduation. It's going to go in the perfect 10, obviously. It's better than the College Dropout, it's better than Late Reg, and it's better than anything else he's put out. Next, we have 808s and Heartbreaks, which isn't my favorite Kanye album, not even close. Pretty middle of the pack for me. I'm going to put it at the top of, bottom of B. Next, we have My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which is going to be another 10 for me, but not quite better than Graduation. Next, we have the collab with Jay-Z. Very quality project, better than 808s, better than Kids See Ghosts, but not quite better than Late Reg, so I'm going to put it at the top of B. Call me a casual if you want, but I've never heard of this album, so obviously I've never heard it, so I made its own category. Next, we have the hot take of Yeezus, which would have been my least favorite Kanye album if he didn't drop Vultures 2, so I'm going to put it in the D tier. Next, we have the self-titled album Yay, which gets a lot more hate than it deserves and is a real quality project. I like it more than 808s. I think I like it more than Kids See Ghosts, but not quite more than Watch the Throne, so I'm going to put it in the middle of B tier. Next, we have the last quality Kanye album on this list with The Life of Pablo. It's going to be in the A tier for me, but it's not better than Late Reg or the College Dropout, so it's going to sit at the end. Lastly, we have his most recent project and his worst project, Vultures 2, which is going to have to go in the D tier. Some people will argue it's an F. I'm not quite that harsh, so it's going to go in D for me. So my Kanye West album ranking goes Graduation at 1, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy at 2, The College Dropout at 3, Late Reg at 4, The Life of Pablo at 5, Watch the Throne at 6, Yay at 7, Kids See Ghosts at 8, 808s and Heartbreaks at 9, Jesus is King at 10, Donda at 11, Vultures 1 at 12, Yeezus at 13, and lastly, Vultures 2 at 15. That was me ranking 5 rappers' discographies. If you want to see me rank some more, leave them in the comments. That's going to be it for the video. If you liked it, drop a like and subscribe so you can get more. Peace.